So, hi students, revered teacher friends, dignified participants. In this class, we are to go to a specific subject area. And this area has special importance in the field of psychology. And psychology has significance or importance for all participants in the field of different phases of higher education. On today's class will help all the student participants as well as the dignified, revered teacher participants, educational officers from class 12 to PG level students, students of MPhil level. The contents of today's class has importance, and the class is one of the most important areas of psychology, and the title area of the class is Memory and Forgetting. Dignified participants, dear students, memory has importance for not only in the field of academic exercises or not only in academic exercises, but also in our daily life situation or daily life. Memory has special importance, and we are to understand memory in detail so as to learn as well as practice learning, to keep in mind, to preserve in mind for the continuation of life and for the solution of academic problem as well as problem in different phases or situations of life. And here in the class, it has been recorded as one of the most important subject matters of psychology is the study of memory. And with the process of the study of memory, the understanding of human behavior has close link, which is one of the most important exercise of psychology. Dear students, revered participants, the latest accepted definition of psychology, as we know, is the science of behavior. Psychology studies behavior depending on science. Psychology as a positive science is linked with the analysis and interpretation of behavioral manifestation of different living organisms, beings, as well as non-living things and matters of the universe. And memory, this term is well known to you all, because once we take the Android mobile handset in our hand, we basically say about memory. My phone memory is totally, it is overloaded. We say that way. So in ordinary life also the term has significance, and all of we do have resemblance or we do have concept, though not scientific concept, but we understand the term. And by studying memory, as students, as teachers, all of we can understand people, and with the help of such understanding, we can make the process of teaching and learning very systematic. the prime concern of the process of teaching is to help to develop the genetic attributes of the human learners so as to help them develop their personality attributes according to the demands of the knowledge market and capabilities of the concerned individuals or concerned students. And the teaching, in the field of teaching too, memory has importance because with the help of teaching, as we know, is a process of transaction of knowledge, dissemination of knowledge, transaction of information from one angle to the another. And the knowledge which is disseminated from one point to the another, that is from the point of teacher to the point of students. You see, the students store in their psychic order, and with the help of stored ideas, they basically face their life situations, solve their life situations, and when they feel the demand, they take back the stored ideas and remember the things which they learned for the solution of the problem which is there in front of their life. Friends, this way, not only in the field of teaching, not only in the field of learning, but in all fields of life, memory has special significance for the students, for the teachers, for the laymen, or for the common people or the masses. Memory, as we know, as well as we understand, is a subject which has been of the interest of study by the psychologists for thousands of years. And it's a surprising, property, inborn property of the human organism. We are discussing about human organism, human learners, human participants in the process of acquisition of knowledge. And therefore, we are saying that memory is one of the most important properties, mental properties or psychic properties, basically genetically transmitted from one generation to the next one. It is the special capacity or power of mind to conserve or to store the past learning on the experiences and reproduce or take back or regain back or remembered if and when required for the solution of academic as well as life-related problems. Therefore, memory has, in the field of learning, in the field of teaching, in the field of general life for the solution of different problems, special significance for teachers, for students, for all stakeholders, and for common men or in totality, or for the masses in totality. Let us go back to the next slide. This is one of the very important, figure by observing or by analyzing, which we can understand the significance of memory and how memory has occupied your mental or psychic order. You can have a common understanding by observing this figure or photograph. See, everywhere in every part, memory is scattered. And this is the most important, one of the most important mental potentialities which always help us to tackle different problems or to solve different problems or to face life situations as per the gravity of the situations which we do face. Let us go back to the next slide. Memory is our cognitive storage system. Means what we cognize. The process of cognition of human organism is very much fascinating. It is not only fascinating but also a fantastic process. Means it is charming as well as interesting process because you see we keep contact with the diverse world or different phenomena, situation, events, matters of the universe, and the sequence which we acquire, the experience which we gather, the learnings which we acquire, we store in memory for future necessity, for future demand. In the brain or mind for storing and retrieving information, we are to store and take back when we feel the demand. It is the ability or capability or faculty of remembering, means taking back from the psychic order to the present state. Remembering for fulfilling our psychic means mental as well as physical means physiological requirements means necessities or demands. With such process of remembering means with the help of the process of memorization, the past events, situations, matters, phenomena, happenings, etc., we try to live life as per the demand of chance time by meeting our chance needs. So friends, life is a very fascinating again and it is a fantastic journey. Life is not a plain journey. It is a very topsy-turvy, challenging journey. And to meet the challenges, you see, our mental capabilities means intelligence, the power of memory, the imagination, creativity, all these play definite roles. And as here we are discussing about memory, memory has, you see, influence in all steps, in all stages, in all levels of our life. We learn, we store in the mind, again for the solution of present problem, we take back from the stored, you see, level of our psyche or of our mental state. This is also another figure and you can understand memory there. Here in this point, you see, this is the point of memory. You imagine about the function of your brain, which is very complex. And because of the complexity of the functioning of human brain, human behavioral manifestation is very complex in comparison to the behavioral manifestation of all other living organisms of this universe. And as a result, the behavioral pattern to study the behavioral pattern of human organism is not so much simple. Psychology has concerned with the process of the study of human behavior, and behavior depends on the exercise of human psyche, and memory is one of the most important psychic properties or one of the most important psychic or mental capabilities with the help of which we solve different problems of our life and we do plan for our future life too. Outcome of our learning means the result of our learning and experience takes place because of memory. Why learning takes place? Why learning results? Because of memory. Memory is the storage of information, learning and experiences. It is very closely related to the process of learning. Learning is very essential for the survival, development and progress of human race. You see, on learning, survival of humanity, you as a person in this complex world, development of your life, progress of your life on social order as a race, human race, with required modifications of behaviors as per the chance requirements of life situations basically depend. Learning, friends, and memory work together means learning has close link with memory, and memory, in other words, memory has connectivity with the process of learning. Without memory, neither one can learn, never you can learn, nor live life by satisfying the demands of physiological and the psychic orders, means the mental orders. Memory is the recall or remembering of an old experience or learning which had temporarily dropped from our remembering, and stored in the psychic order, and as per the demand take back, or taken back for the solution of different problems of life. Let us go back to the next slide. It is the mental power which helps us in learning all sorts of things, situations and matters, perceive the realities of phenomena of this great universe and the realities behind beings and things of the universe. In the absence of memory, past learning and experience of man would have been of no use to him or her, means for you and me. It will also be a major setback in our economic progress if there is the absence of memory. Here is an example. Suppose an eyewitness who is giving evidence in a court, what he or she, does furnishes a typical example of memory. Depending on the capability of, remembering, he or she presents the idea before the judges in the court, what he or she witnessed, where the situation took place. She recalls, means remember, as far as possible, the past object and events which she had witnessed, means observed in the manner and order of their original occurrence, as it took place, as it happened. This way, in memory, the fact remembered is referred to the past or the bygone days or bygone times. Memory helps a lot in giving strength to new experience as well as new learning, friends. Let us go back to the next slide. Now let us come back. What does memory mean? We are to academically give the reply, or the definitions of memory we are to know so much well, so that we can write in the examination for the solution of our academic problem. These things or these definitions or explanations have special importance. Number one, we may cite a few definitions of memory forwarded by different psychologists or some of the psychologists, reputed psychologists or famous psychologists of the world. Number one, C.G. Maurice. He is a great psychologist, and this is the explanation about Maurice. Maurice defined memory, and I like to remember. Memory is a process by which learned material is retained it is captured in the mind. So this is the explanation about Maurice. When he was born, when he died, what he did, where he worked. This is the explanation. And the ultimate definition which Maurice forwarded is, memory is a process by which learned material is retained. Experience, situation is stored in the mind, in the psychic order. Let us go back to the next. According to Robert S. Woodward, Woodward is also a famous psychologist. You have the name, and every time in psychology you will get the name. And this is the explanation about Woodward. Woodward forwarded the definition of memory, and I like to place before you for your consideration. Memory is the ability or capability for doing it over again for what one has learned to do. What you people will learn now means by observing the slides or this class, what you will listen to as well as see. You see, the shadow of your learning will be stored in the mind, and when there is the demand, or you will feel the demand or necessity of, taking back from your mind side, or from your mental level, whenever you do it, it is nothing but memory. Because of memory, it has become possible, means storing in the mind as well as taking back from the stored level to the present situation for the solution of present problem. It is the capability of nothing but memory, and that's why Woodward defined memory as ability for doing it over again for what one has learned to do. Let us go back to the next. Hildgard and Atkinson. These are two great psychologists. For them, what is memory? To remember means to show in present response some sign of earlier learned responses. You see and understand. Come to the next one. H.J. Eysenck. This is the explanation relating to Eysenck. Defined memory as memory is the ability or capability of an organism to store information or learning from earlier learned responses, experience and retention, and reproduce that information in answer to specific stimuli or situation of life. Let us go back to the next one. Lefton has explained memory as memory is the ability to recall or remember past events or previously learned information or skills. Thenceforth, we have given the definition of Budgen. Budgen defined memory as memory is the cognitive process of preserving current information for later use, for future use. Coming back to Crookes and Stein, for them, memory is the term memory has a dual meaning, means two meaning. Number one, it refers to the process or processes whereby we store and preserve newly acquired information for later recall or for future recall. Let us go back to the next slide. Ross has explained a memory is a new experience determined by the dispositions laid down by previous experience, the relation between the two being clearly apprehended. Next again, Woodward has explained memory consists in learning, retaining, and remembering what has previously been learned for the solution of present problem as well as for future use. Drever defines memory as memory is the characteristics of the living organism in virtue of which what they experience leaves behind effects which modify future experience and behavior of the learner. Coming back to Stout, we find that memory is the ideal revival of past experience as far as possible is the manner and order of their original occurrence. Let us go back to the next slide, you will understand. So friends, by analyzing the definitions which have been, forwarded or which have been placed before you in the slides, recorded in the slides, specified means from the definition specified, it may be found that memory is a mental act or action of retaining and reviving of the past learning experience in its original form. But different people possesses different memory powers, because we understand that there are, in this world you will find no two persons alike. There is individual difference. Every person, every individual differ from each other, and that's why when considered from the standpoint of memory, we see that differences are there once we compare or make comparison between two persons or among persons. As human attributes are inborn, means genetic, and all potentialities are genetically transmitted or transferred or handed over necessarily with the help of the transmission of hereditary history from generations to the next, we find differences in each of the persons and individuals. So far, the potentialities are concerned, means the mental as well as physiological. Let us go back to the next slide. Thus, friends, memory being one of the important potentialities or psychic capabilities or mental abilities is also genetically transmitted or transmitted. It's a transmitted property from one generation to the next one, and we find differences in memory in each of the person. Means person to person we find differences once we consider the capacity to keep in mind or to remember the kept idea or the stored idea in the psychic order. Thus, this way, memory may differ in child and adult as well as in even, you see, the memory of child as well as the memory of adult, you will find difference. Why? Because when there is, means in case of aged people, you see the mental capabilities basically lost. They lost their mental capabilities, and there is the loss and decay of mental attributes and potentialities, and because of which we find differences when we compare considering memory of a child as well as an adult. Because children have limited experience and interest to remember, whereas the adults have many interests and experiences to remember or recollect. So friends, in next discussion, what you will get is what we are to do, what are the steps which you see take place in the process of memorization. Is learning is the first condition. This is the first necessary condition. Learning is first. Then after learning, we have to retain, we have to store in the mind. Learning, retention, and then after what is to be done? When the learned and retained situation is present before us, we have to recognize. So recognition has special importance. And the last part is memorization. Oh, I somewhere met you, or we had, you see, company somewhere else few years back, like this. So learning is the first condition. On the second condition is retention. We have to retain or we have to store. Storing is the second step. And that's for recognition. The learned situation or the retained idea is to be recognized in proper manner. And thenceforth, the last stage is memorization, which has special importance for everybody, for you, for me, and for all of us, for the teachers, for the students, for the masses, so as to solve all the problems of life and face life, you see, courageously and successfully. So thank you so much. You have had the basic idea today, and the definitions also you have got. And next time, types of memory on the different, you see, categories of memory, the process, specialities of the process of memory you will find in our next discussion. Thank you so much for today.